everyone. We're back, ready to go. Make sure you have your cameras on and start scanning. Check in. All right, look at that, beautiful. Your name's popping up right there as you check in. Hey, Sanam, how are you? YouTubers, whoever's watching, if you have questions, you can always chime in and just ask questions. You know that. Right? 25 people. We have 10 people missing. Come on. Jaquana, let me check real quick. Yep, you're in. Right, 28 attendees just checked in. So YouTubers and everybody else, we're about to start class, just giving a chance for our students to check in to the class right now. Eight, few more missing. Uh, Ingrid. All right, Nadia, they're gonna send you a text message once you put your phone. They'll send you a text message. All right, confirm the names right now. Just give me 1 second. Good morning. How are you? Oh man. Wake me up. Oh, look at that. Hold on. So Ingrid, the answer is yes. You're checked in. Juana, you're in. Stacy, it does not show me here yet. Give it a try again, please. Narges, I just shared in the Zoom, so scroll up. It should be there. If it's not, I'll resend it to you. Okay. Make sure you guys point at the screen at this QR code, and it should sign you in right away. Yesterday didn't want anything to do with you. All right, I'm sorry, Stacy. You're in. I see you right here. Okay, you're good. Stacy's in. Who else? Got 30 people here, so that's good. We're almost there. In. All right. Is there anybody that wasn't unable to do this? Let me know now in the chat. Antar, let's see. No, I don't see you here yet. Nope. Don't have Antar. Who else was asking? Nadia. Nadia, I see you. Antar, you're still missing here. Robin, yes. Nadia, yeah, you are. Okay. Antar, just point at this. It should take you. You got it? It should give you a check mark. Once you do it, it should give you a green check mark saying that you joined. I still don't see you here. It says that you're in. Let me check again. I'm just updating again to make sure, but please. I don't know why it's not showing. Did you sign in with a different name? Huh? There's only one you. I'm sure. All right, no, it's I don't see it here, but don't worry about it. What we'll do is we'll handle that later. Okay. I know that you're here, and again, I'm just still adjusting, still trying to figure out how this check-in works. All right. So now that we're pretty much done, most of you signed in. We're gonna go into the chapter. Meanwhile, I just received a message. A student of mine just passed the state exam right now. Happy 2021. All right. So, let's go over this. We're gonna do chapter 9 and then chapter 10 right after, which is the essentials of contracts. All right, guys. If you have any questions, you know you can always just jump in and put them in on the Zoom chat or the WhatsApp group, wherever you prefer. Okay. All right. I'm gonna share again the book here in case you guys don't have it. Share the chapters. Sharing again in the chat in case you don't have it. All right, so let's roll. Okay. So chapter 9, we're going to talk about legal descriptions. I don't know if you guys remember when we were talking about transfer of title. One of the things that I mentioned was that in the deed, we had to include a legal description. Now, what is a legal description? It's something that describes what we are buying or what we are renting, right? So legal description is there's a bunch of properties, okay? Which one is mine? That's what I want to know, right? And saying, oh, yours is 15 Main Street, right? So this is 15, 17, 19, 21, 23, and so on, right? You saying 15 Main Street for easy pinpointing of where it's located, that's what we use. 15 Main Street says that this is my property, not the other ones, right? But a legal description is what defines the boundaries of the property. So what was I going to do? All right, so it defines the boundaries of the property. It says, no, it's not only 15, it's this whole lot that it's pretty much 25 by 100. So it defines the limitations of your property and the limitations of your neighbors. So that's the property lines. That's what the survey will say. This is your property. From here on is somebody else's. From here back is your property. Okay? So that's where we define this, the boundaries. This is the legal description. Yep. So it's what divides us from everybody else. Every time you see legal description, that's what we're talking about. Defining the land that belongs to us. Okay? One of the things that's important you guys remember is that legal descriptions, they do not include the building. They just define the land. Okay? It's literally just land. Every time, write this down somewhere, every time you see legal description, we're talking about land only. Okay? And there's 3 methods of legal description. Legal descriptions is land. So the 3 methods is 3 different ways to describe land or a parcel. Land or parcel. No, but this is not. Legal description, that's what I want to make sure you guys get in your head. Legal description, land. Okay? No deed says, oh, this is a 1 family, it's a 4 family, it's 100 units. No deed says that. The deeds will say, this is your lot and block. You have the rights to whatever's on it. That's what the legal description says. You have the rights to the lot and block. Or they will say, meets and bounds. So they'll have measurements. Okay? So that's what we're going to talk about. The methods of legal description are 3. It's the meets and bounds, the rectangular survey system, and the recorded plat method. Okay? These are the 3 methods of legal description. 3 methods of legal description. Okay? So here comes a question. 3 methods of legal description. The 3rd one says plat. Does anybody remember what plat means? Come on. Say louder. Very good, guys. Map. Absolutely. So it's a recorded map. All right, so now here comes my question. Map of what? Of the land. So every time you see plat, it's a subdivision, plat or subdivision map that shows the lot and block. Okay? So we're going to define 3 things. Ruth says Dora. Papa. Yep. I just cannot make her voice, but everything else will go. And I forgot the wig today. But anyway, so el mapa, yes. So 3 methods. The first one, meets and bounds, is the easiest one to remember because that's where the property lines meet and create boundaries. We're going to go over this in a second. You're going to write it in a second. I'm just giving you the preview of what this chapter is going to be about. So meets and bounds, an easy way to remember, is where the property line meets and creates the boundaries. Okay? Property line meets and creates the boundaries. Meets actually means measurements. But to make it easier in your mind, where property lines meet and create the boundaries. How we close the box by going over those measurements, okay? The next one is the rectangular survey system. Well, we don't use in the original 13 states, but as we improved our descriptions, we started creating the rectangular survey system to say, hey, everything's a square or a rectangle, so make it easy for us to define what's ours and what's theirs. Pretty much that way. If you're here in New Jersey, for instance, then you'll know that there's townships that are this big, and then there's townships that are this big, right? There's bureaus and all that stuff. As we move westward, the townships are divided evenly, or at least attempted to be divided evenly into squares, right? That's why it's called a rectangle survey system, right? And then the most common method is the lot and block or plat. All right, so let's go over this real quick. First of all, methods. We'll get to that, Ruth. Yep. It's called one or the other. So it's either government survey system or a rectangular survey method. So we're going to get there. Methods of legal description. See, here's the thing. As I was saying before, when you point out to 100 Main Street, in this case, mine was 15 Main Street. When you point out 100 Main Street, when you say, hey, that's the Buckingham Palace, or that's the White House, right? Or that's the City Hall, whatever it is, it's just a name attached to it. Still does not describe what it is, right? The general description, like the South 40 acres, these are not acceptable as description because it does not pinpoint. To be a legal description, it has to pinpoint where it is and what it is, okay? So where it is, it's easy. Buckingham Palace, 100 Main Street, right? It's very easy. That's to pinpoint, okay? But it still does not describe what it is. So, a legal description is one that accurately, a tongue twister right now, accurately locates and identifies the boundaries. Locates, so pinpoints, right? And then identifies the boundary of that property. Okay? So legal description, again, I just want to make sure you guys got this. A legal description, again, this is important. Pinpoints where it's located. So it's 100 Main Street. Great. Right? But doesn't tell us what it is. So it has to locate and identify the boundaries. Correct. So I have a property, for instance. Let's say 15 Summer Avenue. Okay, 15 Summer Avenue in Newark, New Jersey. Can you guys tell me what type of property that is? Anybody? What kind of property is it? You don't know? Raise your hand if you know 15 Summer Avenue right now. Nobody? Because it just pinpoints. You can put on the GPS and you can get there. All right? iCarly goes like, I do. All right. So it just pinpoints where it's at. But once you get there, you look at it and be like, oh, this is a 2-family. Or if it's just a lot, you look at it, oh, this is a lot. Right? So the legal description has to include a little bit more. And that's what we're talking about. It has to not only locate, it has to identify what's mine, what's theirs. Simple. Okay? So the general criteria for a legal description is that it alone provides sufficient data for a surveyor to locate the parcel. Guys, parcel. What does this word mean? Parcel. Parcel. What does it mean, guys? We're trying to locate the parcel. What does parcel mean? Okay? What piece of land is yours? What slice of land is yours? Yeah, absolutely. So parcel, land. I really feel like Dora for grown-ups. Can you guys find the map?
Usually,
The crossing street. We're gonna get to that, right? So let's go step by step so we don't get confused, right? And guys, especially those that already took certain chapters, if I stop you, it's not me trying to ignore you. It's just that I don't want to, especially with this chapter. There's a few chapters I do this. With this chapter, there's going to be a point where it's going to get a little confusing. So I want to make sure that if I stop you or if I don't answer right away, it's because it's coming up. All right, so it's just a way to manage the class so we don't go around and around, okay? So don't feel offended at any point. I will address you, okay? So the legal description provides accuracy and consistency over time. Systems of legal description, in theory, they facilitate transfer of ownership and prevent boundary disputes and problems with the chain of title. Now this you guys already know. chain of title. All right, hold on a second. Let me know what chain of title is. So now you go ahead. I just gave you the link right now. Chain of title. Okay, chain. Okay, and we got some Stacy, link, perfect. Carly says history. Yes, so it has to do with history, but don't get distracted between abstract. Okay, it is history, but don't get distracted with abstract, okay? So link, link. So a chain is a link. All right? That shows, exactly, it's the history of property owners, right? So you're right, it's history. I just don't want you to get confused with abstract or summary. So it shows the owners. It's what links the current owner, the previous owner, to the one before that, and so on. All right? Very good. All right. So chain of title. So what we're saying here is that having a legal description will make it easy, in theory, as it says, to help you go from one person to the other. So you can transfer property from person A to person B. How? Because we said this is the property to be transferred. There's no dispute. That's what we're transferring, right? So if somebody else shows up and says, no, that's my land. No, your property survey says that this is not yours. It's easy because we have the legal description, all right? So legal description is required for what? We need, or we must, that's why it's required. This could be a question. Required for public recording. So if you want to put into public records something against a property, like a mortgage, you cannot just say, hey, mortgage against 120 Main Street. No, you have to say a mortgage against 120 Main Street, and here's the legal description. So we attach something that comes from a survey, as an example, that says Schedule A or Schedule C, depending on what it is, that says, hey, this is the legal description of the property. It's attached to the documents that you are recording, such as a deed or a mortgage. Or if you're executing and recording other legal documents that obviously relate to the property. So every time there's something related to the property that will be recorded or that's to be enforceable in court, what do we need? Legal description. Okay? Good so far? All right. Awesome. In addition, legal description provides basis, as I said, for court rulings on encroachments and easements. Guys, what does this mean? If you're trying to dispute something, because it said right now that the legal description will help you in court when you're trying to defend or resolve a dispute based on encroachment. What does encroachment mean? Who can tell me? YouTubers, you can also participate. Encroachment, what does it mean? You just say, get off my land, Calvin. And then Katya says cockroach. It's not cockroachment, it's encroachment. All right, Miss Dobson for the win. It's intruding on someone else's property. So it's an illegal use or trespass onto somebody else's property. Physical intrusion onto somebody else's property. Correct. Perfect. Perfect. Encroachment is illegally going onto somebody else or using somebody else's property. The next one is easement. Who can tell me what an easement is? Good way to remember it. What, Chrissy? The cockroach? Is that what it is, or it's something else? I never know with Chrissy. Easements. Which one? One. Easements is legal? Antar just wrote agreement to poetry, or what is that? I don't know. Ease of access, yes. Oh, to property. I don't know if I had to rhyme after that one. So Carly wrote right to use. Denise wrote right as well. Interest in the land. Ruth, perfect. Great. So while this one is an illegal use, this one right here is a legal right to use. Okay? So in court, by having a legal description, we can say, no, your fence is over here. What are you doing over here? You're encroaching into my property or onto my property. So move your fence back. Encroaching, right? So that's what we'll do in court. Or if it's a shared driveway, for instance, we just want to make sure what's mine and what's yours. Do you really have the right to all of it or just half of it? So let's look at your legal right to use. Okay, so encroachment, illegal use, and easement is a legal right to use. All of these related to someone else's property. So we use the legal descriptions to defend our case. Okay? All right, the 3 accepted methods of legally describing. We already went over this right in the beginning. What are the 3 accepted methods? Is the metes and bounds, the rectangular survey system, or Ruth said government survey method. Okay, they mean the same. Rectangular survey system or government survey method. And the third one is the plat or map of a lot and block that shows the property. Metes and bounds right here. Metes and bounds. Rectangular survey system, number 2. Or recorded plat or lot and block method. Okay? Plat, which is map, or lot and block. All right. There's 4 people watching you on YouTube. Make sure you participate. If you have questions, ask them as we go. Okay. Since the metes and bounds method preceded the inception of the rectangular survey system, the older East Coast generally employs metes and bounds description. That's the old style, and that's the one we use the most around here. That, and then as we progressed, we went to the lot and block. Okay? But as we moved to the Midwest and West, predominantly use the rectangular survey system. And then some states, they combine the methods. So you might see a description that includes one only or a mix of one and the other. So you might have a metes and bounds with the rectangular survey, right? And you might have a metes and bounds with the lot and block. There's no right one. No, there's no right one. These are the 3. So all of these, again, most of the questions, by the way, besides the questions about agency, which we'll talk about in chapter 11 on Monday, but besides the questions about agency, almost all the questions there and math, almost all the questions are all of these except. Pretty much that's what it is. The majority of the questions is all of these except. So all of these are legal methods of description except. And they'll give you the 4 answers. There's only 3, metes and bounds, government survey, or the lot and block or plat. So whatever doesn't fit these 3 is the one that's the except. Okay? If you guys are in the WhatsApp group, last night I left a message to one of the students, and I kept on repeating the same thing, which is pay attention to the little details. It's the excepts, right? It's the commas where they're putting it and what they're really asking for. If you guys noticed, if you were in the group chat, you've noticed that I kept on battling back and forth asking for the rationale. Think about it. Don't ask me for the answers, right? Try to think of what is the answer. Why? Okay, because if you just get the answers, you're memorizing. They have 6 or 7 different state exams. That means you have to memorize almost 800 questions. Is that what you want to do? Not going to work. All right? So my method is you ask questions, I answer to the best of my ability, right? And I will help you through the rationale. It's very, very important, okay? Gonna get to that one. We're gonna start with meets and bounds. They'll just mix it. They'll combine it. So you might have, like here in New Jersey, we have meets and bounds and lot and block in certain areas. Not all. So there's no right one or wrong one to use. Okay.
Yeah. Never heard of it.
Meets and bounds, there are some in Newark as well. All right, especially if it's older one. All right. So let's talk about meets and bounds real quick. It's where property lines, the easiest way to remember, property lines meet and create boundaries. Okay? The easiest way to remember. Meets means measurements, but it's where the property lines meet and create boundaries. And the reason why I'm saying this, there's a question in the school or state exam, I'm not going to tell you which one it is. There's a question in the school or state exam that's literally like that, right? Which method defines the property lines and its boundaries? Which method describes the property lines and its boundaries? Well, the meets and bounds. That's as simple as it gets. I'm telling you guys, 80% of the state exam, it's as simple as this. The problem is we overthink. That's the biggest problem with taking an exam. You overthink things. Meets and bounds. And I know somebody on the other side of this screen is like cursing me out. Bruno, it's not that easy, right? But I'm telling you, it is. It's just a matter of focusing, paying attention, and breaking down the question. That's what it is. Okay? Sandra, don't argue with me, okay? I saw that. I saw that. Sorry, Ruth. Yes. There you go. That's what the Quizlet is for. Yeah, paying attention to me is just so it gets into your brain. And then you have to read and you have to test and all that stuff. Right? My part is just the corny jokes. This is a free stand-up comedy. Everything what you paid for was the system behind it. That's all. Right? All right, let's go. Meets and bounds. Can meets and bounds... What? I'm sorry? Oh, be rivers? Good question. Let's figure out. Right? Let's figure out. Ruth is like, come on, give me more. I want it now. I want it now. Wait, there's still 7 pages to go. So, but great question. Can it be rivers? See, here's the answer. Meets and bounds, since you asked, here's the answer. Meets and bounds could be a description identifies the boundaries of a parcel of real estate using reference points, distances, and angles. Now, the description always identifies an enclosed area by starting at the origination point called a point of beginning. So every time we start describing something, there is a point of beginning. Like here on the screen, there's this corner, the lower corner. We go up to the upper corner, we go to the other corner, back down, and then we close it at the point of beginning. Right? I described the rectangle there. So we close it at the point of beginning, right? So we go back to where we started. We close the box, okay? A meets and bounds description. Meets and bounds description, remember this, must return to the point of beginning to be valid. Your land cannot be an open description. It has to close the box, the boundaries. Yep, close the box. The term meets refers to distance and direction, right? Back to the point of beginning, close the box. Yep. And the term bounds refers to fixed reference points. Okay? Now these reference points, Ruth, since you're asking, these are called monuments and landmarks. Landmarks are things that we pinpoint to say, hey, like a reference, hey, this is where my property line stops. And we'll move on to the next direction. So these are reference points. Now, these reference points could be natural or artificial. If it's natural landmarks, look what we have here. Because Ruth asked for it. There you go. She asked if river meets and bounds can be rivers, right? And I'm saying right now, rivers, rocks, or even trees could determine where's the next point. All right? It's like I didn't see it. It's okay. I'm showing it to you. Okay? Showing it to you. Can you see it? I cannot zoom anymore. Can you see it now? All right. And also lakes, by the way. Now, artificial landmarks, these are like surveyor stakes. If it's natural, it's common sense. If it's a natural landmark or reference point or monument, because it means the same. If it's a natural thing, right, then Earth said, hey, tree, right there. River, right there. Rock, right there, as an example, right? If it's artificial, that means we made it. Okay? If it's an artificial, like a surveyor's stake, so having the surveyor's initials on it, is something that we created and planted there as a reference point. Okay? No. Reference points, monuments, or landmarks could be either natural, which is again the trees, rocks, rivers, and lakes, or it could be artificial where we created. These are called, again, monuments or landmarks. Those are your reference points. Okay? Let's go to the next page, and we're going to have an example of a meets and bounds description. We are on page 121. Nope. Flip it. Come on, you got to work with me. All right, let's see what we got here. Is there anybody that, as I'm waiting for you guys to get to this page, is there anyone that did not check in yet? Let me know. Carly has a question mark. Go ahead. Surveyor stakes, these are rebars. So rebars is just a stake we put on the floor. It's an artificial because we created. And then the surveyor surveyed the property and said, this is one point, this is another point, this is another point, and then we're back to the point of beginning. So we put the stakes there just to reference, okay? Antara, I will, don't worry about it. I'm going to do a cross verification between the Easy Check Me and Zoom. So for this class, I'm not too worried about it. I just want to make sure we start using it. Okay. Ingrid, is it illegal to remove those stakes? Yeah. What are you thinking? You're going to like remove it and place it right there so you gain more land? That's what it is, Ingrid? I know that's what she's thinking. Gain land. Oh, Ingrid just wrote, my neighbor removed mine. Court. No, just get another survey and force the neighbor to pay for it. One step at a time. We're talking about surveyor marks, stakes. Once it's there, that cannot be removed. Okay? Sanam, I'm sorry. I see here you wrote you have access of neighbors. So I'm not sure at what point you wrote that and what does that mean. Okay. All right. So let's figure out what's a meets and bounds description. Ready? Meets and bounds. Here's one. We have a map, right? And here we go. It says a parcel of land or a piece of land located in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, having the following description, commencing at the intersection of the south line of Route 199. So we have the south line of Route 199 and the middle of Flint Creek. Okay? So the commencing is the point of beginning, where it starts. Ready? There's a south line. And how do we figure out south? Well, every map has this. An arrow that points up. And it has an N on it that says north is up. Okay? So the south line will be down. In certain areas, you don't want to do that. No. Okay? Especially nowadays with masks and everything. So you guys know Katia is going like to see where the wind is blowing. Yeah. Not anymore. All right. So we have a north line, we have a south line, and now we have to figure out these lines. East and west? West and east. This is where people get confused. A lot of people get confused with this, and don't laugh because this is a serious issue that a lot of people have. Some people don't know. So there's because we read, and what I think one of the issues is, Nadia, I can't with you. Not always down, no. Because if you live in North Carolina and you're going to the Jersey Shore, it's north. But anyway, so there's north and south, and a lot of people have confusion about where's east and west, because here in the US, for instance, we read from left to right, okay? So this will be your left, and this will be your right, correct? So technically, if we read left to right, that means that east and west, this would be east, and this would be west, right? Ew, doesn't sound right. Right? Ew, doesn't sound right, correct? It's reversed. Okay? So, what do you need to remember? North, south, we, the people. Okay? North, south, we.
Where did you learn that? They don't even teach that in middle school.
They don't teach you? No, they teach you to never eat soggy waffles or sour worms. One of them. But anyway. But north, south, and we the people. Okay? That's it. On the left, it's always west. On the right, it's always east. That's why if you look at the map of the United States, New York is in the east, right? And California is in the west. It's also where sun rises and where sun sets. Oh, Chaz. I'm here explaining and he's typing it. I got you, and you got me. Perfect. And then Anthony says clockwise. There you go. Northeast, southwest. So why is this so important for you to know north, south, right? And east and west, or we in this case. Why is it so important? Because we started the description with the south line of Route 199. So let's go to the map real quick. This is Route 199. Okay? On Route 199, there's a line on top and there's a line in the bottom. Now we know this is the north line and this is the south line. Okay? So if the description says that our property is in the south line, right? Then it's somewhere here. Because this is the south line. But there's more to it. The south line actually extends here too. Keeps on going. That's the whole south line of Route 189. So what's the next thing we have in the description? Hold on. Next thing we have in the description is the middle of Flint Creek. Remember, that this is a natural what? What is Flint Creek? It's a natural what? We're doing the description. What is a natural what? Landmark, Carly. Thank you. It's a natural monument, landmark, or reference point. Okay? So let's go back to the map. Those of you that are good with maps, be patient with me, okay? Where's Flint Creek? Right here. We found Flint Creek. If you were hunting for a treasure, you have to know how to read a map, right? So we know where north is. We found the south line of Route 199, and now we identified Flint Creek. We need to find the middle of the Flint Creek, right? A lot of people will be lost without GPS. All right. So this is the middle of Flint Creek. They said that the point of beginning, and by the way, your map will not have this. Will not have point of beginning. That's why I'm ignoring and I'm going through every step. They said that the point of beginning would be at the intersection of Route 199, the South Line, and Flint Creek. Where's that? The intersection is right here. So this is the point of beginning. Boom. That's where we start. It's going to be a lot easier from now on. This was the hardest part, is finding out where to start. Yep. Now, back to the description. It says right here, middle of Flint Creek. Guys, make sure I can see your faces. There's a lot of people not on camera. It's either the camera's off or it's not pointing at you. Okay, make sure you are on camera. So we talked about the middle of Flint Creek, right? The next part of the description says thence. Well, what is this word right here? Thence simply means then. So if you ever get confused with this, simply means then. What does it mean is, hey, we start here, then we go there. So when you see this description, we start here, then we go there. Okay? For some reason, they kept the descriptions as back in the day. Thence. Anyway, so then what we do next is go southeasterly. So we move southeasterly, right? Along the Flint Creek, so the center thread of Flint Creek, and we're going to go 410 feet more or less. To where? To the willow tree. Now, what is the willow tree here? It's another landmark, another monument, another reference point. Okay, so let's go find the willow tree. So we started right here, and we're going to follow Flint Creek. Follow until we find what? A willow tree. Where's the willow tree? Right here. And boom. This is our next stop. Our next stop right there. So we went southeast, right? And it says southwesterly because it's not a straight line, but it did go south, right? And he went towards the right, so southeasterly. The next thing it says, once we found the willow tree, what does it say? What does this mean, guys? Then, okay? So the next thing we're going to do is go north 65 degrees, and you're like, oh my God, I have to calculate degrees as well. No, you don't, but you have to be able to look at them, okay? So 65 degrees west. So now we're going northwest. We started going southeasterly. Now we're going to go northwest. 65 degrees. And we're going to go 500 feet, more or less. And where do we stop? To the east line of Dowell Road. Okay? So look right here. This is the reference point. 65 degrees. We're going to go this way. 500 feet until we reach Dowell Road. Okay? Now, because we reached Dowell Road, there's two lines. There's the west line, and there's the east line. They said that we would stop at the east line of Dowell Road. So this is the next reference point. Dowell Road. Okay? Let's figure out what it says next. Look, crazy word again. Thence. So then what we do next is we're going to go north 2 degrees east. So northeast, that's our movement. Northeast, 200 feet, more or less, along, if you guys read it, it says along the east line of Dowell Road. So we're going to continue on Dowell Road until we get to what? The south line of Route 199. Okay? Until we get to the south line of Route 199. Guys, make sure you have no distractions. Pay attention to me because you're going to ask me this question a million times. Okay? Kick everybody out. They're fired. That's it. Yes. Go. The ant is bothering you? There you go. I know what you meant. The way Chaz wrote, leave me alone, ant. This will be on the exam, by the way. The way Chaz wrote is, leave me alone, ant. So Anthony, you are the ant in his life. His words, not mine. Brandon says, reminds me of shooting an azimuth on the map, except without using degrees. Yep. Pretty much. Alright, so go back to this. So we're going to go along the line. We've reached Dowell Road, we know that. Right? And we're going to go along the line north 200 feet until we reach what? The south line of Route 199. So that's it. We stop right here. This is the next reference point. We're at our third reference point. Now, we got to close the box. Right? So the box now says that then we are going to go at a 90-degree angle northeast, 325 feet more or less, along the south line of Route 199 to the point of beginning. So we're going to close the box. Let's go right here. This is 90 degrees, right? And we're going to go all the way back to the point of beginning. This is what we just did, guys. We identified this is still the means and bounds description, yep. We identified this property as being ours. All this that we read, and it took a lot longer because I was explaining it, but it's that easy. You find the point of beginning, which is the south line of Route 199, and the center thread of Flint Creek. We're going to go southeasterly, right? That's what it said, southeasterly, 410 feet more or less until the willow tree, and then 65 degrees northwest till the Dowell Road, north 200 feet, and then back to point of beginning along the south road, the south line of Route 199. Okay. Paul is asking, what happens if one or multiple landmarks are destroyed or altered? Great question. Can I address that right now? And Carly is asking, will we have that line to know the 65 degrees? Do we have to draw the line or anything? No. So guys, you don't have to draw anything in the state exam. But if I give you a map, right? This is a simple map, right? And if you notice, there's going to be more property here. Okay, there's going to be another house there. This is going to be, or land. There's going to be another one here, and somebody on this side. What they want to know is that they'll give you, for instance, let's say this is, let me just clear this. What they will say, as an example, is that we have a 10-acre lot, we have a 20-acre lot, we have a 8-acre lot, and so on. What they'll tell you is, hey, here's this description. What is the size of the lot, for instance? So you have to be able to look at the map and identify, well, this is easy. Anything with a 65-degree or 90-degree angle, that was easy. Or, to me, the easiest thing to remember is finding the point of beginning. There's a lot of questions that all you have to do is identify the point of the beginning. Because no other answer will have a lot that matches this point of beginning. So if this was lot number 1, there will be only one answer that will use this point of beginning. You guys understand? So being able to identify the point of beginning to me is one of the most crucial things. Where do you start? And that will tell you lot number 1. Okay? Hold on. Sanam has a question, which is meets, and I got a question. If you start from north and go west, do you have any idea? All right. So I don't know if you saw this, but every map is going to have this. It's going to have a north, and that's easy to identify the south. Okay. Shaquana, were you doing something? Because it looks like you're arguing with me. Did I do something? You want to take this outside? Not afraid to hit a girl. Remotely. I'll go right back, okay, if you wanted to. But Sanam, we have the north and south, and we have west, east. So west is always on the left, and east is always on the right. The thing about the north and south is this right here. Is the fact that there's a line on, north, east, and west. There's a line on one side and a line on the other side of the road. It just defines what is the east line and what is the west line. So I don't know exactly what the question is, Sanam, that you're trying to identify. But if you have that question, I can address it. That's what I had, Jaquan. I don't know if you're good with that. I don't know what you needed. If I have a map, no, you're gonna have it. Here in this usually during the chapter, no. All right, you guys good? Thumbs up. It was not that hard, right? Okay, so let's confuse you guys a little bit. Ready? The rectangular survey system, which is also known as the government survey method. Rectangular survey system. Jaquana says too late. What, with a confusing thing? She was like, yep. All right. Rectangular survey system. Or government survey method means the same. Okay. Now, the federal government developed the rectangular survey system or government survey method, right, to simplify and standardize property descriptions as a replacement for the cumbersome and often inaccurate meets and bounds method. The system was further modified to facilitate or transfer of large quantities of government-owned Western lands to private parties. To institute the system, all affected land was surveyed into latitude, which is east and west, and longitude, which is north and south. So Brandon, you know this one, right? So latitude and longitude. Ruth, yes, federal land survey as well. It's government survey method, it's federal, yep.
That's what I was going to.
What?
Land.
There's more.
Latitude.
There's more. All right. So the object or the goal was to create uniform grids of squares called townships. So what they try to do is instead of us having, like I said before, This could be one township, this could be another township, like different sizes. What they try to do is make everything uniform. This is our township, it's a square. And every township has a square, divided into tiny squares, and then divided into tinier squares or rectangles or so on, okay? So, let's go over this, because we have the grid right here. So the rectangular survey system works well for describing properties that are square or rectangular in shape, since these can be described as fractions or of sections. However, if you have an irregular shape, like a triangle land, the rectangular system is inadequate. At this point, what we're going to do is we're going to include, right? So if it's an irregular shape, we're going to include the meets and bounds or the lot and block description. Meets and bounds or the lot and block description. Now, the following exhibit shows a portion of the rectangular survey system, in this case in Florida. We do not have this, like I said, in New Jersey, New York, any of the original 13 states stayed away from this, right? But this is how it will look. Okay. Guys, what we have here, A is a township. So we divided everything into grids, right? And those grids are then further divided into squares and so on, okay? So a meridian right here is the north-south longitudinal lines. So meridian, north-south longitudinal lines on the survey grids. These are meridians, right? The principal meridian is the one that's the biggest reference point, right? So think about it this way. If I'm going to have something to reference as a meridian, like, hey, this is the line, right? I have something to reference to. I got to have another one to say, hey, this is the main one. And guys, as we go through this, we're going to talk about benchmarks as well. As we go through this, I want you guys to remember we have Earth, and then it's divided like an orange, right? We have somewhere here London, and this is GMT. So this is, the time is 0, right? And as we go left, then it's -1, -2, -3, and so on until we get to New York, -4 as an example, depending which season we're at. So these are also reference points. So we have a main one, which was GMT, which, like London, okay, Greenwich Meridian Time, so that's the London line, right? That's the main one, and then they have other reference points. Here, we have a principal meridian, okay? That's this one. In this case, that's this one right here. Principal meridian. Which says this is the one of reference for everybody else. Okay? There are actually 37 principal meridians in the whole national survey. You don't need to remember 37 meridians. What I'm saying is there's 37 reference points across the United States. 37 reference points across the United States. In this case, we're going to talk about Tallahassee Principal Meridian as an example. The next thing we have is parallels. Now, the parallel is the east-west latitudinal lines. Meridians, north-south, and parallels is east-west latitudinal lines. And instead of a principal meridian, we have something called a base parallel or a base line. Okay? In certain states, as you guys notice, I don't have this highlighted here because in certain states it's not heavily tested. Obviously, in the original 13 colonies or states, then this will not be barely referenced in the state exam, but you still need to know there's still a couple of things that will be there. You have to understand it at least. Okay, there's something called range. And range is the north-south area between consecutive meridians, right? So if you see here, the ranges are all 6 miles wide. So range, let's go back to the image, is this. This is the range of the meridian. Starts there, and it goes 6 miles wide, okay? The next thing we have is tiers. still here. Tiers. And what you're going to notice is that the tier is also 6 miles. So there's 6 miles right here, 6 miles right there. So technically, every single township is 6 by 6. There's squares of 6 by 6. Because tiers are 6 mile wide. So a township has 36 square miles because they measure 6 miles on each side. So every single township as we go west is 36 square miles. Every township as we go west, 36 right here, square miles. That's one of the things you have to remember for state exam, as you notice by the highlights. 36 square miles. Okay, when we get to the state portion, so let's say, for example, if you're in Florida, and the state portion is for Florida, we would go heavily on this, right? So that's why we're saying this is the national portion. There's things that I skip that I don't go too heavy onto, right? Because we will address it once we get to the state portion. This is one of them. That's a sign. What do you mean by as we go west? It doesn't apply heavily in the east? No. So Carly, because it's not used, the original colonies, right? So New York, New Jersey, Delaware, and so on, because this does not apply to the original 13, right? As we move west to towards California, we're going to find a lot of these, right? And as we move south, right, the Northeast barely has it, but as you move south, you might find these and a combination of the original meets and bounds. Okay, so you might find a combination of it. Okay. Range in what? Paralegal? All right. Okay. These are meridians. That's the north to south. Okay. And these are the parallels. Every line that crosses like this is a parallel. That's what it is. Okay. The range simply means how wide it is. It's 6 miles wide, right? And as far as the parallels, they have tiers, which is 6 mile tall. So again, once we identify Township A as an example, it's a 6 by 6 square. That's why it's the 36 square miles. All right? Now, every township, this you have to know, divides into 36 squares. So if the township is 36 square miles, right? If the township is 36 square miles, and it divides into 36 squares, which are called sections, what is the measurement of each section? If the whole thing is 36 square miles, and we have 36 squares or sections, it's not 1 mile, it's 1 square mile. Because we have 36 square miles. So divide by 36, there's 1 square mile. Okay, how much is 1 square mile? It's the same as 640 acres. And to answer your question, yes, you need to know. Things to remember. A township has 36 square miles. A section has 1 square mile, because each township has 36 sections. Okay? That's 640 acres. You need to know that each section has 640 acres. Each section, yep. Township, 36 square miles. Sections, 1 square mile. There are 36 sections in each township, and they have 640 acres. Calvin just went like 23,040 acres per township. Thank you. To be more precise. Was that calculator or out of the top of your head? Let me know. Or did you Google it? All right. Now, this right here is a township. This is a township in those areas. Not in New Jersey, not in New York, okay? But this is a township in areas where they use the rectangular survey system. Now, if you notice, it's numbered. There are 36 numbers here. Why? Because each one of them is a section, and every township has how many sections? 36. Okay? Okay, let me get there. Here comes the harder math that she's talking about. Ready? Look, 1 section. Okay, make sure you guys have a piece of paper because you're going to need it. Make sure you have a piece of paper and you have a pencil. We're going to go hands-on. And by the way, my suggestion is that you go hands-on. Don't try to do this out of the top of your head. Doesn't matter how good you are. You're wasting time. Okay? So, this is 1 section. This is 1 section. For now, you don't have to draw this. I will give you something to draw in a second. But this is 1 section right here. Each section, as I said, is 640 acres, or 1 square mile. Okay? Each section, 1 square mile. Now, we can divide the section right here into fractions of those 640 acres. For example, and we're going to go back to the figure in a second, the southwest quarter of the section is 1/4 section of the whole thing. So, hold on. So, here's the section, the whole thing, right? And it says it's the southwest quarter. First thing we have to do, guys, is divide this like this. You know why? It's not because you're dividing by 4 only. It's because you're putting north, south, and we the people. So when they told you, hey, what's the size of the southwest quarter? There's 2 ways to do it. One of them is you divide by 4. Simple. If you divide by 4, then it's 160 acres for each quarter. Each quarter. It's 160 acres, each one. Okay, this is the northwest quarter, but I'm just showing you because it says quarter section. It's easier, right? They asked us to identify the southwest quarter, so that was this one. This is what we would have identified, the whole thing, because this is the south. It's below the line, right? And it's the west because it's to the left of that the meridian line, right? So how big is this quarter? 160 acres. Why? Because you divide by 4. It's a quarter, right? Now this part was easy. Just divide by 4, right? The next thing it says, if you go further to the east half of the southwest quarter, then what do we have? Well, we already identified this as being the quarter, but they want to know about the east half. So we have to divide this in half, where we have the left side and we have the right side. If it's the left side, we're talking about west. If it's the right side, we're talking about east. Correct? Good so far? So what we identified, guys, was this right here. This is the east half of the southwest quarter. 2 ways to do this. You draw it and you figure it out, or divide by 4, which is a quarter, and then divide by 2, which is the half. It's 80 acres. Because a quarter is 160, so if it's half of it, it's 80. You guys with me so far? Great. All right, do me a favor. Real quick, in the Zoom chat, put a number 1 if you got it, put a number 2 if you got doubts, if you want to explain again. Because I cannot see everybody. So I want to make sure. Thanks, Ant. Number 3. There you go. Calvin's like, nope. I know you got it, but it's okay. All right, so everybody got number 1. That's good. All right, Denise, thank you. 5. Appreciate you. You guys are trying to make my life easy, right? Yeah. Hold on just 1 second. Got somebody saying the door is locked downstairs. Yeah. Somebody's coming for an interview with the real estate office. All right, so let's go back to this. All right, so we're good here. Let me clear this out. All right, then it says, let's go even further. We want to identify the east half of the southwest quarter of the southwest quarter. East half of the southwest quarter of the southwest quarter. I don't know what you mean. All right, so we got to the southwest quarter, right? And it's divided into another quarter. So we're going to go right here. Okay. So we got the southwest quarter of the southwest quarter, and they're asking for the east half. Well, this is the southwest quarter of the southwest quarter. If they're looking for the east half, is because we're going to cut it right here. And we have the west, and we got the east half. 20 acres. Don't worry, you guys are going to do it in a second, okay? We got 20 acres. 2 ways to do this. You draw it until you figure out what it is, identify it, because they'll give you a map like this. And they'll ask you what's the size of the lot, okay? So you either draw it out, or because it's a quarter of the quarter, you divide 4 and then divide by 4, right? So 640 divided by 4, right? And then you divide by 2 because it's the half of that quarter, all right? So let's go and do this. Ready? Of course you are. Piece of paper on hand, please. Piece of paper. This is one section. You know, Melissa, I was going to keep you out there in the cold a little bit longer. Hey, hey. Congratulations. Officially, now that I see you. You can come here and say hi to them, like to the camera. They don't see you back there. No, the camera's right here. You have to come right next to me. They don't see you. It's okay. Hey, hey. So,
Class.
so she passed the state exam as well. Good luck. Pedro, next time, keep the door locked. Okay. All right. So guys, make sure you're drawing this. And I'm going to make it as simple as possible for the first example. Okay. The first thing I want you to do, Carly, yep, that's it, period. First thing I want you to do is to remember that every cross that's here represents north, south, we. So if you're trying to do this, the first thing you do is lay it down. North, south, we, and let's look at the map that we have. Okay? Anything above this line right here Anything above is the north, anything below is the south. Anything to the left of this line right here, the vertical line, is to the left is going to be the west, to the right is going to be the east. Okay? So, what I want you guys to do, bless you, what I want you guys to do is identify this one right here. And do not answer yet, only when I ask. But what I want you guys to do is tell me which quarter is this. And the way we identify is quarter of a quarter of a quarter. We start with the smallest one, smallest box, and we move out. Okay? So this is a whole section, and then we divide it by quarter and divide it by another quarter. Write it down, and I'll ask for the answers in a little bit. Not right now, okay? So only answer when I ask for it. Good luck. You don't need a calculator. You need to draw this. Tell me which quarter it is. I did not, Wafa, I did not ask for answers yet. No answers yet. And I don't want the size yet. I want to know this is the whatever quarter of the whatever quarter of the whatever quarter. There's 3 steps here. Fill in the blanks. It's a quarter of a quarter of a quarter. That's what I want to know right now. YouTubers, go ahead and participate. Quarter of a quarter of a quarter. Quarter of a quarter of a quarter. There's 3 people watching on, but nobody's talking, so I just want to make sure you guys are there. Are you guys ready? No? Some yes, some like eh. I'm gonna give you 30 seconds. No pressure, okay? 20 seconds. No pressure at all. Why are you giving me answers already? I didn't ask for it. 10 seconds. Don't forget, I want the quarter of the quarter of the quarter. This is the format that I want. And go. Give me the answers. Second. Okay, Calvin. Jazz just went the extra mile. Okay. See how it is. All right. So what do we have? All right. All right, guys. The answer is northwest, northwest, and wait for it, drum roll, northwest. I told you I was going to start easy.
I did the second one.
Why did you read southeast? How did you write northwest and you read southeast? All right. Let me explain to you guys why this is northwest, northwest, northwest. We start with the smallest one first. That's the first thing. Start with the smallest one first. I know for me it's easy because I just zoom in. It's easy, right? For you, it's a lot of stuff on paper. But I told you guys that every line here, listen before you speak, okay? Listen before you enter things. It's very, very important. Every line here is north or south, west or east. Can you guys tell me where this is located, the green? Where is it located? North. Yeah, always start with north or south, by the way. But this is the north, west. That's where it's at. So the first line is northwest, period. Okay? Now let me take this out. Yes. Okay. Wait. If you're getting confused, let me explain first, okay? So, we identified the small quarter. But the small quarter is a quarter of a bigger one. And I know I'm going to make this easy because I got all these coloring tools to make it easy. Oh yeah, I have a lot of fun. All right, so right here, we identified the smallest quarter, right? Let's identify the biggest quarter. The concept is exactly the same. We're going to go here, and we're going to put a line. North, south, we. Where is that located? Again, north, west. Okay? So the green is the northwest quarter of the yellow northwest quarter. And the yellow northwest quarter, right? I gave you an extra one here. I'm sorry, my bad. So the next one is right here. I tell my kids to make this nice and neat, and I mess it all up. Okay. So this is what we're identifying right here. Okay? Concept is the same. Right here. North, south, we. Exactly the same concept. Always make those lines. Period. Where is all this located? North, west. So, this is, the green is the northwest quarter, okay, of the yellow northwest quarter, of the orange northwest quarter of section 1. Okay? So northwest quarter of the northwest quarter of the northwest quarter of section 1. If I were to ask you the size of this lot, what would it be? What is the size of the lot? It's a quarter of a quarter of a quarter. So the whole thing is 640 acres. So that means that a quarter of 640 acres is 160, right? A quarter of that is 40. And the green one, the smallest one, is 40 divided by 4 is 10. So this right here, 10-acre lot that we own. I own a 10-acre lot right there in the northwest quarter of the northwest quarter of the northwest quarter of section 1, somewhere in Tallahassee, Florida. No. They'll give you two things. Ligia, really? I'm a bad architect? These are great lines. They're amazing lines. Come try to do it here. I'm a lefty, and this is a tablet. Just saying. Come on and do it.
What? Yeah.
Nope. That's right. Listen, Ruth. Virgo's here complaining. Let's clear this out and make another one. I'm not very good at cleaning the house either, as you can tell. Anyway, next. The concept is the same, we're just going to put it somewhere else. All right, make sure you draw this out. Draw it out on a piece of paper, right? Do not give me the answer. I repeat, do not give me the answer yet. Only when I ask for it. And things just got a little complicated, right? Do it yet? Draw it on a piece of paper. I have a feeling that whoever's on YouTube is not listening. I don't know if the audio is working or not. No, what I mean is I don't think the audio is working. Right? Ligia is still analyzing my architectural skills. Listen, I could use a ruler. Okay? I could. Then it would be great architectural skills. The concept is this, but the answers are not. Don't forget, I want it in this format. Whatever quarter of whatever quarter of whatever quarter. You guys ready? Give me a thumbs up if you're ready. Go for it. Give me the answers. Okay. Figure yours. Got it? All right. So go. What is it? I told you it was not the same. All right, let's figure out what the answer is. Start with the smallest one. What do we have here? We have south, east. That's where it's located. Southeast. Right? You got to start with, I did say start with a small one. So this is the southeast quarter. Let's go for the next one. Okay? Where is this one? You got to draw the lines. Right? So this right here is the southwest. Okay? And then one more. What do we have here? And Ligia, before you say something, no, I do not do painting in my house. I hire somebody. Otherwise, I'd miss spots. So what do we have? North, east. You got it reversed. All right, so the answer was south, east, right? South, west, north, east. That was the answer to this one. Chaz says, I do painting. There you go. Share your information. Go ahead. What happened? We'll do another one. One more. You guys good? Do one more. The last one. So then we can go on break. All right? Go ahead. Do not give me answers. Do it for yourselves. Draw this out and give it a try. Quarter of a quarter of a quarter. Looking at the screen, just draw on a piece of paper. Right? You guys ready? I asked if you were ready. I didn't say start answering. Go ahead, give me the answers. Some people just go for the shortcut. Bruno, figure it out from there. Ligia, are we in the ship or something? SS? SW? How can it be south-south? SS. Where's the north? Some people got too confident. I got this. They just went right through. Okay, I see how it is. There's still another one that's wrong, but it's okay. We'll get there. And don't blame my architectural skills, okay? Just saying. Chaz goes west-south. No. Always start with north or start with south. Those are the immediate directions, then everything else. All right, so let's figure this out. Ready? This is what we have. Let's see. Where is that located? Actually, yeah, Chaz is funny. Makes it easy. All right, there you go. What do we have? South, east. Okay, I'm not going to put colors now. Then we have north, east. Then we have south, west. How's it? It's the southeast quarter of the northeast quarter, the southwest quarter. Got it? Always go small to big. Yes. That's it. Start with the smallest because, again, you need to understand. It's a quarter of a quarter of a quarter. So you have to start with the smallest one because it's the smallest quarter of something bigger. Of something bigger. Okay? So in this case, the answer was southeast, northeast, southwest. And I know some of you are like, I just saw it wrong, or I read it wrong, or something like that. I'm telling you guys. By the way, the reason why I do these practice things here, right here, with this thing, is simply because this is so easy once you get it, that you'll realize that most of the questions are literally just one comma or one little detail that you oversee it. So most of the answers you have wrong is oversight. Literally, like you forgot something or you didn't pay attention to something. It's not knowing, lack of paying attention to details. That's all. Okay? So hope you guys enjoyed this one. Tatiana says I did the last first. So you did the southwest of the northeast of the southeast. You can do it that way. Just remember, you have to reverse it because you cannot have a bigger quarter of a smaller quarter. Right? All right. All right, to finalize, this is the last one. Recorded plat method. Guys, what is a plat? Map. Okay. The plat method uses also called the lot and block system. So every time you see plat, it's a lot and block. Okay. So under this system, tracts of land are divided. Dora. Tracts of land are subdivided into lots, and the entire group of lots comprises the subdivision. If it's a large subdivision, lots may be grouped together into blocks for ease of reference. The entire subdivision is surveyed to specify the size and location of each lot and block. The surveyor incorporates the survey data into a plat survey or subdivision plat map, which must comply with local surveying standards and ordinances. So here we go. This is a subdivision. Right here, it's the Grand Oaks subdivision. This is block number 8. And these are individual lots. So if I'm trying to identify my property, which is located on block 8, and I'm lot number 6, well, it's this one right here. Right here. Well, this is not math. But it's right here. That's my property right there. Does it say right here that it's a single family? Does it say that it's a 2-family, a 3, a 4, a 100-unit apartment building? No. Again, all these 3 methods, if you have noticed, all they say is, this is your parcel of land. All 3 methods identify the land. Because you guys remember from day 1, we talked about bundle of rights. You now have the right to build on this land according to whatever the town allows, like the zoning. If it's zoned for single families, all you can do is build a single family, right? If it's zoned for multifamily, you have the land, you can build a multifamily. If it's zoned for multifamily like 2 to 4, but yours is a 2, right? You can increase it because the town allows up to 4. So you can knock down what you have and build a bigger one. You guys understand? So you have to see what is zoned for. You identify your lot and you see what the possibilities are. So that's what it is. It has to be what it qualifies for. Absolutely. Yeah. All the plans have to match zoning. Right? So if you guys can see, we're kind of like summarizing again everything we've been talking about. So Chaz is asking, is this like a gated community? Not really. There's no gate. If there was a gate, you would have to say that this is private. So we'll have something here that identifies that the entrance is private. But it doesn't. So no, this is just like in this scenario, is like a cul-de-sac. That's it. Right? And guys, we just covered that. I just have one more. Oh, that's what you meant? Okay. Anthony, too funny. All right, these two, I don't know which one is worse. All right, question, guys. I just mentioned to you, drop the phone. I just mentioned to you, right, that all we identify is land. Didn't we say that? We don't see on the deed or on the legal description, we don't see if it's a single family, if it's a 2, 3, or 4, 100-unit apartment building or anything. But let's assume that lot number 6, the one that we have, let's assume that it's some unit, that it's a condo, and we have a unit on the 10th floor. Okay? So if it's a unit on the 10th floor, and all we identified was the land, and our unit is located right here, okay? If the deed and the legal descriptions, both the meets and bounds, the government survey method or rectangular survey system, or even the plat or map, right, of lot and block, right? If neither one of these three identify what's built on the land, well, then how can we identify what's mine right there on the 10th floor? If my condo is on the 10th floor, right, but the deed only says, hey, here's the land that you own. Do I own the whole thing or do I just own the condo? If I just own the condo, then how are we going to identify the condo? Anybody? What? A lot number? Oh, that's the block. It's the whole block. And then there's a lot, which is the land. How do we identify up there? We're going to identify acres in the air. We'll give it a unit number. That's great, but that's the same thing as saying 120 Main Street. What does that reference, unit number? What does that say? Stacy says section, airspace in unit, air rights. Island, yes, maybe, no. Air something. The answer has been here all the time. Elevation. Okay? So what we do is we define the land where it's located, and then our unit has a floor that starts at 100 feet. Okay? And our unit has a ceiling that ends this unit at 110 feet, as an example. So measuring elevation. What we've done to identify the unit that's on the 10th floor is its elevation from the ground. So we know it's located here on this parcel of land, right? But then the floor of my unit, I'm on the 3rd floor right now. The floor of my unit the floor starts at 100 feet and ends at 110 feet. So I have 10 feet of airspace. So those of you that wrote airspace, that describes what the rights that I have, but doesn't describe the property that I have. Okay, to describe the property is the land and then where it starts and where it ends. Okay? It starts with a floor, ends with a ceiling. And that will be then the unit, whatever, at that height. Okay? So elevation. Right here. To describe property located above or below the Earth's surface, such as air rights of a condominium, a surveyor must know the property's elevation. Standard elevation reference points are called datums. Standard elevation reference points are called datums. What is a datum? Again, as it says, it's a reference point, meaning it's something for us to base on. Okay? And different datums have been established throughout the country. The original datum is New York Harbor. This is the original datum. Just like when I told you guys to tie things in, when I told you guys about the GMT, right? Greenwich Meridian Time, I told you that was the time is 0, and then if we go back, it's -1, -2, -3. New York is -4, right? If we go forward, it's +1, +2, +3. So we get to France, we get to Germany, we get in India, and so on, like plus, right? Because the reference point was London. For elevation, the reference point starts at New York Harbor. And this is where the mean sea level, at the mean sea level, so where the water does not go down or go up anymore, like it's not the tide or current, right? It's where the water is now flat. Doesn't matter how much water pours, it doesn't rise, it doesn't lower. That's what it is, mean sea level. So if you go 1 mile out from New York Harbor, most likely that's it. It doesn't go up or go down. That's the mean sea level. All elevations across the world, including if you're on an airplane, they're based on water elevation. Why? Because this is water. Simple, right? As we see, like if we were to zoom out, we're going to see the Earth like that, right? But let's say this is New York, right? And here, there's land. And land has different levels. Land has different levels. There's land below the sea and there's land above the sea. Obviously, for elevations, I'm going to use the land above. But if I do that, how can I say, hey, make sure you have the plane at 100 feet above mountainside? Okay, that's what mountainside looks like. All right, now let's look at Everest as an example. Oh no, you have to be 100 feet above Everest. How do we determine these things? So the easiest way to do it was the reference point called water. And no, Everest is not in New York, before Chaz or Anthony make a comment. I just made a comment based on different sizes of land or elevations. So we're going to look at the whole ocean, and anything that, knowing the highest point across the world, right? Everything is now based on, let's say, 20,000 feet as an example, above the water. Why? Because there's no land that will touch the airplane. You guys understand? So all the elevations are based on that. These are called datums. So if it's based on elevation, it's called a datum. Jaquana, you mentioned benchmarks. Okay. So the benchmark is what I told you. There's the point 0, -1, -2, -3, or +1, +2, +3. In this case, datum. Imagine that you're in the middle of Houston, Texas, right? And you're saying that my property is 100 feet above New York. How are we going to figure that out? No, what they do is, New York was the original datum. Oh, so I made this a little too big. Hold on. So let's move back. So this is Houston. So we're going to reverse this just for the example. So this is Houston, Texas. This is a building, right? And I'm right there on the 10th floor. Okay? So how am I going to... No, just 10th floor. So how am I going to say, oh, my property, which is here in Houston, Texas, is 100 feet above New York? It's so many miles away that it's difficult for us to survey it and measure it that way. So what they do is, as we go, we create benchmarks. Okay, and these benchmarks are lines that will say, well, this line right here is 5 feet above datum. This line right here is minus 100 feet from datum. This line right here, and as we go away from the reference point, just like the time, 0, -1, -2, and so on, the datums are points established across the US that will say what the height is. Like Colorado, for instance, is higher than anything else, right? So you're not going to say, hey, we're 1,000 feet above New York datum, right? What we're going to say is we're 10 feet above our local datum. The surveyor will know the difference between local and New York datum, okay? So these are called benchmarks. So local elevation markers are called benchmarks. What are benchmarks? References. Benchmarks are references or reference points along the way. Okay? Benchmark, the reference, the local reference, the datum. Like for, okay, so let me talk about benchmarks real quick. Has anybody ever been on the New Jersey Turnpike or Parkway or something like that? Anybody? Raise your hand. Don't smile. Some people might not have driven yet. So if you've been on the Parkway or if you've been on the Turnpike or any highway, right? One of the things that we have, if you guys ever noticed, is numbers on the side as you're driving. These are called mile markers. Do you know what a mile marker is? It's a benchmark. A benchmark is a reference point. So if you get into an accident or whatever it might be, right? Your car breaks down, whatever. You call for assistance and you go like, hey, my car just broke down on the turnpike. Well, great. Turnpike goes all the way up or down. So where are you? Well, I just left exit 8 and I'm on mile marker 10.5. Now they know who to dispatch to you. Is it the next exit or it's the previous exit that will get to you fastest? Okay? So they made the benchmarks for the assistance. You guys understand? Benchmark is a reference point as we go. Simple. Ruth, you did not know that? And you came here to learn real estate. You see that?
I know about the mile.
Yeah. Mile markers are bench. Anything that's a reference point, anything, guys, that's a reference point is a benchmark. And with that said, break time. And they're like, thank God. All right, so it is 7:40. Gonna give you guys 10 minutes. So 7:50, we'll be back. Go jump around, get your blood flowing, because the next one is gonna be awesome. YouTubers, I'm gonna close this one and open another one right after.